Hello everyone, this is the second video where I am going to teach you the chapter 1 of class 10th ICSE board. I will be continuing from the previous topics where we left and explaining the remaining topics. Now, data types. So, what is data types? What do you mean by data? Data. Data, simply anything which has information is called data. Whether it can be numeric, whether it can be textual, or it can be in visual form. So whatever elements which can store numeric, textual or any other kind of data, then those elements are called data types. So variables which store this kind of data are called data types. Data types are mainly categorized into two types: primitive, non-primitive. The basic data types that exist in Java, those are called primitive data types. And the data types which are derived from these primitive data types, those are called non-primitive data types. So our first is integer. All the numeric numbers which are in integer form means whole numbers like 10, 20, 100, minus 296, the whole numbers, these are called integers. Integers, we also have some more types like short, byte and long. So this type we have this. So in integer we have int, short, byte and long. Next we have is float. Float, this type of data types can store decimal type of numbers. Like we have number in decimal 9.67, 4.06. Then this is the data type which has capacity to store decimal numbers. In this we have one more, that is double, which has more capacity than float. Next we have is character. Whenever we have to store textual data, textual means letters, special symbols, then we have to use this character data type. For this type of data, we can write as character ch equals to, remember, we have to remember that single quotes are very much important. If we don't write single quotes, then that will give us error. So character ch, whatever character we want to take, for example v. If we want to store v in character, then this is the syntax. But you have to remember, character data type can only store one character. It cannot store multiple characters like VA, TB. No, only one character or one letter can be stored in this type of data type. It can also store numeric or special characters. Character includes all the things like numbers, letters, special letters, all the things come under character only. So it is not like that only our English alphabets can be stored in this. If we want to store number, we can also do this. CH equals to single quotes 1. If single quotes is there, simply it means that this belongs to character data type. Simply. Next is boolean. When there are two options, when there can be two options which can be stored, then we have to use boolean. Boolean can store value of true or false. Simple. Only two values boolean can store, either true or false. Now going to non-primitive data type, array. Array is simply collection of multiple primitive data types. if we have multiple int values which can be same, which can be different from each other, when they are stored all in one variable, then that is called array. Not only integer, but we can even use float, we can even use character, we can even use boolean, and also we can create array of string also. String simply is collection of more than one character. In string simply means a sentence that is written, and in sentence we can have n number of characters in it. It can also have numbers, it can also have special characters, and it can also have simple alphabetical letters. It also includes space, white space, empty space also comes under character. Class is also a non-primitive data type as it is a collection of multiple objects. So whenever there are multiple collection of primitive data type or any other collections, then those all are called non-primitive data types. Next we have is inputs in Java. In what way we can give input in the Java program? So first, the most common statement used by student is scanner class. Scanner class, if we have to use scanner class, then we already know that we have to import util package, and to import util package we have to write this syntax before writing the class name. Import java.util.scanner. If we don't write this statement, then we won't be able to use this scanner class in our program. If we cannot import scanner class, then how can we take input from user? So this is the important statement that we have to write in order to take input from user using scanner class. The new thing that is introduced that will be there in class 10, that is buffered reader class. For this we have to write statement import java dot io dot asterisk. Here scanner class belongs to util package, buffer reader class belongs to io package. Io is input output package. This is the syntax that we have to write in order to call buffer reader class. I know that this statement is bit complex, but if you practice, eventually you will be able to remember this statement. Next we have is conditional statements in Java. Conditional statements, like we have to check for some condition. If that condition is met, then only we can proceed for some set of statements. If that condition is not met, then we have to go for other statements. Then that type of statements that are used in program, those are called conditional statements. First we have is if else. If something is true, we have to follow this. If not, we have to follow these statements. If this condition is true, then this set of statements. If this condition is false, then this set of statements. This is if-else conditional statements. Next we have is nested if-else. In nested if-else, if we use if inside if or if inside else or else inside if or else inside else, then this kind of conditional statements are called nested if-else. One conditional statement under another we have, then that is called nested. Nested, simply this nested word is derived from word nest. What is nest? Bird's nest. In bird's nest we have tiny wooden strings that are kept one inside another in order to make nest. Birds uses wooden pieces, keep one inside another and then build nest. So from that thing, this nested word is derived. Nested simply one inside another. If we have one if inside another if, or we have if inside else, or else inside if, or else inside else, then this kind of conditional statements are called nested if else. Remember, else cannot be used without if. There cannot be else statement if we don't have if statement in our program. But there can be if we don't have else. So if is compulsory to use if we have to use else. So there will be equal or more if statements than else in any Java program. Remember this. Next we have is switch statement. We know when we go to restaurants or any places where we have to order something, then there is a menu card. There are list of items given in that. From that we have to choose any one, that what we need to order, what we need to use. So in that type of scenarios we use this switch statement. And syntax for switch is switch in bracket we have some variable name over which the user has entered his choice. So if the choice is entered in a variable like a equals to 1, where at one position we have to select a product, then this variable a will go inside this switch statement. Now depending on the value of a, we will prepare some case statements like case 1. If the value entered by user is 1, then what we have to perform? If the value entered by user is 2, then what we have to perform? Likewise, you can create n number of statements. At the end, we have to write default statement, which simply means that if user enters a value which is not present in any of the case that we wrote above, then that thing will execute the default statements that we have written inside our default case. So whenever the value entered by user does not belong to any of the case that we wrote above, then that will go to default case and it will execute those statements which are written inside the default statement. Now we have two most important statements which are called jump statements, which are normally used in conditional statements. First is our break. Whenever we execute any case, then the next corresponding statements are always executed. So if case 1 is executed, then all the statements written next to it will be executed. So but obviously when case 1 executes, case 2 will also be executed, case 3 will also be executed, 4, 5, 6 and so on, all the statements will be executed. If the value entered by user is of 3, then the statements written in case 3 and after case 3 will also be executed. Then that is of no use. So to overcome this problem, we have break statement. So after each and every case, we have to write break statement so that the next case is corresponding to those is not executed. Each and every cases ends always with break statement. You have to remember this. Break statement is always necessary in order to execute any case. Continue statement. Continue statement is mostly used in looping statement where we have to skip some values, where we have to skip some iterations of the loop. If we say we don't want to execute I equals to 5, then we have to write continue. If I equals to 5, then we have to write continue. So the next statements written below them will not be executed and it will skip the statements written below it. It will skip the values and it will go to new iteration. Next and last we have is our looping statements. Looping statements, there we have three types of loops: for loop, while loop and do while loop. For loop is called entry controlled loop. While is also called entry controlled loop, but do while is called exit controlled loop. Why this? This video I have already created. Please go and check out my video. I have created video dedicatedly for the looping statement. What are loops? Why do we need to use loops? And what are the types of loops that exist in Java? What are the syntax that is used? And some examples are also given. I have also created one playlist of pattern programs where I will be explaining all the different patterns that are likely to come in board exams. So please do subscribe to my channel. I will cover each and every topic of class 10 ICSE computer applications which are important and you can score good marks in board exams. If you have any other questions, if you have any query, if you want me to solve any questions that you have, then please do send your questions on my mail ID. Mail ID will be displayed here and also is given in the description box. So please do let me know if there are any questions. Also, if you have any query regarding this video, please feel free to ask your questions in comment section.